when I had just turned 18, I decided to download a dating app. I've been single my entire life and thought the only way to meet the man of my dreams would be through an app like that. I don't get out of the house much, just for school, and I'm pretty sure if you asked any of my classmates about me, they'd say, "Who?" So I gave myself a nice profile, and that's when I got my first match. Ethan. He was perfect. 6'2", 29 years old, big blue eyes, dark brown hair, fit, with the cutest smile I'd ever seen. He texted me first, and after just a few chats, I knew he was the one. He'd never had a girlfriend before, or so he said, and he had an awesome personality. Our first date was at a fancy restaurant, and it was amazing. He made me laugh, complimented me, and made me feel like the most important person in the world. On the drive home, he told me he had a tendency to rush things and asked me to tell him if he ever seemed too forward. I nodded, and the car got quiet, so I turned on the radio. The voice of a news anchor filled the silence. Another woman was recently found dead in the neighborhood forest. Her throat had been mutilated and her feet were severed at the ankles. The suspect remains at large. Ethan quickly turned it off. "A bit depressing," he said with a nervous laugh. I didn't think much of it at the time. After the first date came a second, then a third, and eventually a fourth. That's when he invited me to his place. I said yes, of course. It started out great. We were cuddled on his couch, a bucket of popcorn on our laps, watching a movie. He wrapped his arms around me, rubbed my feet. It felt perfect. Then he leaned in to kiss me. I pulled back, stopping him with my hand. "I'm sorry," I said. "You're moving a little too fast." His entire demeanor changed. He screamed and threw the popcorn in my face. The remote went flying across the room, shattering against the floor. Then, just like that, he collapsed to the ground, silent. I froze, and then he started crying. "I messed it up," again he sobbed. "Now you're going to think I'm some kind of rapist. You'll call the cops. I'll get caught," I interrupted him, panicking. No, it's not like that. I promise." Eventually, we got in his car so he could drive me home. Yeah, the ride was quiet. I stared out the window, watching the stars while he drove, but then he turned down the wrong street. I think you missed the turn," I whispered. "What'd you say?" "You missed the turn," I repeated, louder this time. "Oh," he said, his voice flat. "You're right. There's a dead end up ahead. I'll turn around there." He kept driving. Right, left, straight, right again. And then he stopped. We were surrounded by trees. "Why did we stop?" I asked. "No gas left," he said, sighing. "I'll grab some from the trunk. Stay here." He got out of the car. I glanced at the fuel gauge. The tank was full. Something wasn't right. I pulled out my phone to text my mom, but the message wouldn't send. No signal. I thought about calling for roadside assistance, but I didn't know the number, so I called 911. 911, what's your emergency?" "I'm in a car with a man I don't trust," I whispered. "We're in the woods. He said we're out of gas, but the tank is full." There was a pause. "I have your location," the operator said. "Lock the doors. Do not let him back in the car. Am I clear?" I locked the doors. My heart was pounding. Ethan appeared at my window, smiling, but it wasn't his usual smile. He tried the door handle. When it didn't budge, the smile vanished. "Police are on their way," the operator said in my ear. Ethan's eyes locked on my phone. He stared at me for a long moment before turning and walking into the forest, a knife and rope in his hands. They found him later that night. He'd slit his own throat. I still wonder what would have happened if I hadn't called 911. What if I'd known the roadside assistance number instead? Would I even be here to tell this story? Hey, if you enjoyed this story and wanted to hear more terrifying tales, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support means the world to me, and it helps keep these stories coming. Until next time, stay safe, stay alert, and remember, you never know what's lurking around the corner.